Now then, Smash Bros MMA here again, 21st of November 2020. A bit to talk about today, a bit of news, breakdown of last week's card. This week's card coming up, bit of a discussion there. And KDiggy is going to be leading some discussions and debates later on in the show. But gentlemen, KDiggy, Jimbo Slice, are we well? How are we doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to get into talking about this week's card. I think it's surprisingly strong under the surface. Probably won't want to pay the full $60 for it, but it's strong under the surface.
We don't have to in the UK though, do we? But I agree. I think it's a pretty good card. There's some good sleeper fights on it. KDiggy, what do you know?
Yeah, all good this way. Earliest start for a podcast for the Smash Bros, but feeling good, looking good.
Well, we all, believe it or not, we can't survive off 12 viewers watching and listening to the show. So we all have other things that we do outside of this. It's a bit of a side project, but we'll get straight into it in the news. Jimbo Slice brought this up last week. Highly touted fight. Very excited for him in the Bellator featherweight tournament. It was the semi-finals against AJ McKee, Darian Caldwell. Jimbo, talk us through what happened.
Well, Darian Caldwell said, "I'm going to take him down," and that's exactly what he did. He took AJ McKee down.
Yeah,
but that's not the story of the fight. The story of the fight is a fantastic submission from AJ McKee. He just got it in. Looked like a killer as he had it in. He looked so stone cold faced, like, yeah, I've got this. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Submitted Darian Caldwell in 1 minute 11 seconds, I believe.
Just
it was
something
made
like
him
that.
Look like an amateur. Made this former Bellator world champion look like an amateur.
A neck crank from guard, unheard of. I've never seen anything like that. It was absolutely spectacular. I mean, we both said McKee was going to win quite comfortably. I think he was a more complete fighter, but I think he's a really serious threat to Pitbull. If Pitbull, gets through the semi-final, I think McKee could go the other way. He's the next breed. He's the next breed of MMA fighter. He's so complete. KDiggy, did you see the fight?
Managed to see it, yeah. Obviously, it was a quick one, but it's always nice to see a beautiful submission. You don't see enough of them, really, and you have to appreciate them.
You've got to appreciate the skill, aren't you, when it comes to the ground, especially when someone does it in such a dominant fashion with a submission that's a bit out there. Like the twister from the Zombie and Bryce Mitchell when he did it last year. It's just you've got to respect the game. Keeping outside the UFC, Kayla Harrison fought early hours of this morning for us last night for the Yanks, making a featherweight debut in Invicta. Normally PFL, but I hadn't had a chance to watch the full fight, but I've seen the photos and the highlights, and boy, oh boy, dominant victory. Have you seen them, Jimbo? Have you seen the photos?
I've seen the photos. I say, to be honest, I haven't seen the fight. It's very early in the day to have watched them. To have watched it so far, yeah. I've got up and turned this on to do this, to be honest. Yeah, but I've seen the photo. Horrendous looking, to be fair. Like, she's a big girl, and I want to see her in the big. I want to see her in the big boys now. I want to see her in the UFC. I want to see her fight. Do you know what? I want to see her destroy Megan Anderson, and then I want to see her challenge Nunes, because this will be one of the first few times that Nunes doesn't really have the size advantage.
No,
and I want to see what would happen.
I mean, I think a lot about the women's featherweight division, and how it is arguably the biggest joke in the entirety of MMA, and it shouldn't really exist. In the days when it was Cyborg, you had someone who made a really tough cut, very skilled, and should normally be fighting bantamweights coming up, or people that just did not belong in skill levels with her, and there's just such a differential. And now we're seeing a bit of an evolution. We've got Nunes, great fighter, Megan Anderson, who they've recently added to a UFC format. I was playing with her last night. She's got that size, she's got that, and the striking game. But in terms of the featherweight division moving forward, KDiggy, do you think there's a future for it?
No, not particularly. They just need to be cherry picking from the leagues all around, from Invicta, from the PFL. That's just the way they're going to have to grow. Or they're going to have to do a tough series, and they're going to have to really search all around the globe for these top level fighters at the weight class necessary. It is a struggle, but I think
They
it will
did.
flourish in the next few years.
They did an ultimate fighter with the featherweight ladies, and I think it was Macy Chiasson that won it. It was tough 28, and she immediately moved to bantamweight straight after she won. So I think they've got to find a crop of talent that's to that level of that quality that doesn't, undermine the skill level of the UFC. And I think it's tough, but I agree with you, Jimbo. I think it's a great fight. If they can get a couple of good wins under Kayla's belt, I'd love to see her come to UFC and challenge Amanda Nunes.
I was actually thinking about the UFC featherweight division last night, women's. This is what I do in my spare time, obviously, just sit there thinking. And I was thinking the people who challenged Cyborg, Yana Kunitskaya and Holly Holm are full bantamweights. Like,
Bantamweight.
Yeah, there's not really been. There's probably been more people who've challenged for bantamweight, challenged for the featherweight title, who are bantamweights than who are actual featherweights.
Well, if you think about who it's been in the UFC, who's thought that's actually a featherweight, it's Felicia Spencer. That's it. That's the only person that's challenged Nunes that is a full-blown featherweight. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. But I sit and ponder the women's featherweight division on the regular, Jimbo, so I don't feel that it's anything out there. But a couple of fights have been announced recently this week. The first one was announced a couple of days ago. Aldo against Marlon Vera, December 17th at bantamweight. Is this curtain call for Aldo, KDiggy?
I think it is a passing of the guard. I think Aldo's had his time in the limelight for a long time, over a decade now, and he's had an illustrious career, not tainted by the 13-second knockout by Conor McGregor. It has been a fantastic career, even though us casuals do remember him for the 13-second knockout. But he has been fantastic, and I think Vera can come in now and take it over. I think he's a similar sort of fighter, and he's got a lot of potential coming into the UFC, especially after that fight against O'Malley, which has propelled him up the leaderboard.
Jimbo, what does Aldo need to do here to win this fight?
What he needs to do is he needs to be the Aldo who fought Putian in the first few rounds. He needs to be that one who cuts the leg, counter strikes extremely well, and uses more than just his hands. I feel like that's something that Aldo's done as he's got older. He's like, I fall in love with my hands. I'm just going to use my hands to knock people out. Use your legs. Do that. And don't fight not to lose. Fight to win.
Well,
because he's going to come at you.
Casuals like KDiggy, they remember Aldo for getting starched in 13 seconds. But people like you and me, Jimbo, I remember him for his 7-second knockout of Cub Swanson. I remember him for brutalising Faber for 5 rounds in the WEC. And for me, he just needs to go old school. He needs to bring back that fire from underneath him, like you're saying, going out there to murder people. He hasn't done that in the UFC, apart from when he fought Jeremy Stevens and Renato Moicano. They're the only fights that he's gone out there to prove a point. And if he goes out there, does what he's fabled for doing, I see him winning it. But I think it's do or die for Aldo now. If he doesn't win this one, I think he's done. To be quite honest with you. Next fight was announced early hours of this morning. Very, very excited for this in the lightweight contenders area. We've got Tony Ferguson taking on Charles Oliveira in December as well. Where do you see this fight taking place predominantly, Jimbo?
Well, I think if this takes place on the ground, I think it'll be one of the best grappling fights we will have seen for a long, long, long time. On the feet, I think Tony Ferguson has the edge just at the moment. He's but if the Tony Ferguson who fought Edson Barboza shows up, that's the one that's going to win. If it's Tony Ferguson that fought Justin Gaethje turns up, I think I could even see Oliveira winning on the feet.
Yeah.
I think if the longer this fight goes, the more it favours Ferguson, especially with it only being 3 rounds, I believe. Don't think it'll be
it's only 3.
I think it's an excellent fight. I really want to see that. I want to see it take place on the ground. I want to see Tony with some excellent on the bottom. I want to see him on the bottom throwing up some elbows. I want to see Oliveira on the bottom putting in traps, going for submissions. I want to see who is the best in that division on the ground. And on a personal, I am a bit gutted because it did look like at first this was going to be Ferguson versus Chandler, but Chandler said no, I'll do it in January. I can't do it in December. I can't make the weight, which is fair enough. Chandler did fight at welterweight, and December's not long off now.
No,
but
it's not.
I think this is the better fight. This is the more enticing fight. It's more exciting to watch. And if Oliveira wins here, he's in line for the title shot.
Yeah. Jim KDiggy, is this a sleeper pick for fight of the year?
I think it potentially could be as well. I do think it could be just for a certain crop of fans. Obviously, I think like the old school fans who enjoy the rolling round on the mat. I think just to follow up on the question that you asked there about where do you see this fight going, I just see it all over the ground. I think Tony tries to fight his opponents at their own game. I think that's what he tried to do with Gaethje. It went completely wrong, and I feel like he's going to try and take it to the ground with Oliveira and try and play him at his own game and beat him at his own game. But I don't believe he'll be able to beat Charles. Even though Tony is my favorite fighter, I just think it's Charles is too much for him. He's too long, and he could. I think it'll be a beautiful fight, and it could be the fight of the year. But I could see Charles getting the win.
I don't know how it's going to go. I haven't had time to digest the fight and think about it fully. But I actually think the ground game, neither one's going to want to touch it. I think Charles is going to think, fucking hell, Tony Ferguson knows that I put a submission in, and Tony Ferguson's going to be thinking the exact same thing about Charles. I think we're going to get a more technical and better striking display version of Damian Maia against Ben Askren. We're going to get that. It's going to be some wild fighting, some wild brawls. Both of them go out there, like we were talking about, Jimbo, that with Aldo, that killer instinct. They've both got it. They go out there to get the finish. And I think we're going to get about maybe 2.5 rounds of pure violence and a late submission for either man. I don't know who's going to win. It's really going to depend upon who gets the better of the striking. You know, Tony's pressure, getting in your face, keeping coming forward, or Charles Oliveira's just wild variety. And I think it could go either way at the moment. I think it's an absolutely spectacular fight and a really, really good way to, close out the year. And what has, in fairness, been a decent year for the UFC and MMA. There's been some really good fights. So getting into, GOAT Corner now, talking about two of the greats. We'll start off with John Jones. Instagram this week released a few photos of him on doing some weights, saying about 240 pounds. And he looked phenomenal. I'll just say, he looked like a legitimate heavyweight. What were your thoughts on that, KDiggy? Them photos of JJ?
Yeah, I sent them through in the WhatsApp group, and the boy looks thick. I think he's ready to go. He's lifting weights and he's looking very strong. I was a little bit reluctant about jumping up to heavyweight, but just after seeing these 3 pictures, which just capture 3 moments in his life, it just gives you that wow factor. So I've definitely edging to change my mind that it could be demolishing the heavyweight division, but that's something to discuss in further podcasts.
Oh, absolutely. Jimbo, what were your thoughts on John Jones' new physique, and do you think he'll make a name for himself at heavyweight?
See, now I'm no sports expert, as in like cardiovascular system, but surely putting on all this muscle mass is going to compromise his cardio. It's going to compromise his tank. It's going to slow him down. Now, I do think he's much more skilled than most heavyweights. Think what DC said, that you can do things like heavyweight that the heavyweights have never seen. However, you get there and they hit so much harder. Yeah. And if he slowed himself down, don't get me wrong, Francis Ngannou does not have good accuracy. But all he needs to do is hit him once. If he slowed him down, he's increased his chance of being hit tenfold. And that's the only thing that would concern me. But I trust John knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the same thing there as you, Jimbo. He looks phenomenal, but I just take myself back to when he fought OSP back in 2016, when he had his first exile from the sport. Played around with the weights a bit, put a bit of mass on, and it really slowed him down in that fight. And he was a lot slower, a lot more fatigued quickly. So my concern for him is that this could impact him. But at the same time, if he's not having to make that hefty cut to 205 and he finds that balance, that weight that's good for him, he's saying he's about 240 at the minute. It might be less, it might be a little bit more. I think it could be a good move for him, but we don't know yet, do we? My main concern is that he might not have addressed the chicken leg problem. Hopefully he'll put a bit of work, not skip leg day, put a bit of mass on there as well. And if he has, I think he's going to run riot at heavyweight. And at the other end of the GOAT talk, Dana White has ladelled Anderson Silva, it would appear, saying that he is retired and he's not fighting anymore in the UFC. However, he has gone on to say that if he does choose to come back, he still owes the UFC a fight. He's got one left on his contract. Is it too little, too late, Jimbo? Should he have gone 5 years ago?
I think he should have gone personally after the second Weidman loss, but I do think he has a way out of this. If he wants to return, he returns a bare knuckle. He's not returned in MMA. He's returned in that boxing. Let's be honest, if you want to see Anderson Silva fight, we want to see him get busted up, knocked unconscious by Gabriel Gonzaga.
I think the thing for me, Scott Coker, when people hear that, the older boys leave the UFC, they always think, oh, fucking hell, Scott Coker's going to want a pit of this. They've gone and spoke to Scott Coker and he said he don't want him on roster. So if you were Silva and you wanted to fight again, what would you be doing, KDiggy?
I think he's had his time in the limelight. I think it's time for family. Family have not wanted him to fight for the past, I don't even know how many years they've not wanted him to be fighting. But he's convinced them that this is what he does and what he needs to do. I don't think he needs to fight. I think he goes home, keep the legacy as it is, and just and find other work elsewhere. Start coaching, start doing some good work around the community, because he is such a legend in Brazil. He can do things like that. So I'd say just don't do it, Anderson. Please don't do it.
I'm hoping that this is the end of the day, and I think it will be. He's got good people in his corner that will hopefully say enough's enough. He's gone out there, he's taken that break after the Brunson fight, coming back against Hall to see what he can do, and clearly not enough because he lost. Speaking of Uriah Hall, one more fight announcement that we forgot to mention. He is fighting Chris Weidman in the new year. Rematch from when they fought yonks ago, before pre-UFC days. How do you see the fight playing out, KDiggy?
I think it will be a tough one. It is the striker versus wrestler matchup, really, and it's sort of the what you like to see. But I'll always favour the wrestler myself, and so I do think that Weidman will see it out for, well, depending if it's 3 rounds, I can see him winning by decision. If it's 5, potentially, it could be a TKO in the 4th or 5th. So I'd probably say I've got Weidman, just because I usually do back the wrestler.
I'm sure. I don't mean to judge KDiggy, but it's a rematch from pre-UFC. I know I've seen it. I've seen the original fight, and I'm sure Jimbo has. Pretty much plays out, knockout on the feet for Weidman, gets in Hall's face, pressures him. Do you see it playing out the same way, Jimbo?
To be honest, I see if he does that now, Weidman's chin's gone. I feel like Uriah, but Uriah doesn't like being pressured. He doesn't.
No.
But I feel like if Uriah just lands one of those hands, he can knock Weidman out. You see, in the last fight he fought against Silva, Silva was actually getting in his face. He was the one who was winning the fight until he wasn't. Until that was that one punch in the end of the 3rd. Now I do see Weidman. I do think he's motivated again. I do think he's come back and he's ready, but has his chin recovered from all those beatings? Probably not, but I think it's probably a lot better than it was. And I can see Weidman. I can see him knocking him out on the feet, but I do think it'll be more of a take him down, wear out Uriah. And the main thing with Uriah is break his heart, break his belief to win. And I think if you spend a minute and a half underneath Chris Weidman, he's going to break your spirit. You're going to break his heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how he's going to win.
I don't know which fight we're going to see, but we're going to see shades of Uriah Hall against Gegard Mousasi. It's either going to be a spectacular Hall knockout or Weidman taking him down and pulverising him quite quickly. It's going to be no in between. It's not going to be a close fight either way. It's just a question of who's going to win, I would say. So, any more news that you gentlemen want to make me aware of before we move into breakdown of last week's card?
The only thing I want to mention is the change in the UFC rankings. They've RDA's obviously gone down now. He's a top 10 lightweight again. I found interestingly that they put in the, because obviously then everyone moves up one. Interestingly, Hamzat Chimaev moved into 15 in the welterweight rankings. I could see an argument for being in the middleweight for beating Gerard Meerschaert in the way he did, but welterweight, he's had one fight in it.
No.
One fight at welterweight.
Silly. He shouldn't be ranked at either. To say that, he beat Reece McKee at welterweight and that justifies a top 15 ranking. Wayne Alex Morono ranked in the top 15. He beat him last week. That's all I've got to say on the matter. Speaking of Chimaev, they have added him to the UFC game. And you'd be shocked to hear he's completely overpowered. Unbelievably good. I absolutely pulverised Ben Askren and I Masvidal'd him with him on hard. Normally good wars, good fights. When I'm, on hard difficulty, I did him in 20 seconds. So completely overpowered, one to use on the old blitz battles, I think. So yeah, we'll get into last week's card. And before we discuss it any further, the only statement I'll be making on my XP ranking is that you win some, you lose.
Here we go.
Last week it wasn't my time. I decided to go against the curve. I saw that we had very similar picks, a lot of us. I thought, just for the sake of the 4 people that watch this, I'll change my picks to make it a bit more exciting, that we're not all agreeing with each other. And cost me. I should stick with my head next time and not go with just going against you guys. So, we'll talk to the maestro of the card, KDiggy, to break it down for us as he did the best.
Yeah, started from the bottom from the week before and now top dogs. So it was a good card. I think that just the way the card was set up as well. There was a lot of favourites who you could see losing, which did end up happening, which we'll go into. But if you did do your research a little bit, you could see that there was a high potential that these underdogs were going to get the win.
Yeah, we'll start with the bottom of the card. Arguably quite a controversial decision with Corey McKenna beating Kay Hansen. A lot of people had it going the other way, as I think we all did, to be fair. I know I definitely picked Hansen.
Yeah.
I think, we all did. All 3 of us across the board picked 29-28 decision loss. Jimbo, what did you make of the result?
Let's be honest. I personally scored it for Hansen.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
did.
It wasn't particularly exciting. I didn't think I sat there and thought, wow, this is a fight of the year contender. I didn't even think it was a fight of the night contender. But yeah, well done to McKenna for winning a controversial decision. And to be honest, I don't see either person making waves in the division. I don't see either person.
They're both young, though, aren't they? They're both young. I think
very, very
they've both got a long way to go. They're very green. Should they be in the UFC with this kind of age and experience behind them? Probably not. But sometimes it doesn't hurt to learn in the deep end. Have you got anything you want to add there, KDiggy?
Not particularly. I think, as I say, we all had K for the win, but and the verdicts, they all had a winning the majority of the rounds. But you win some, you lose some, as the big dog says.
The next fight, Sean Strickland beating Brendan Allen by TKO in the second round. I originally had Strickland winning this by decision, but like I said, I'm blaming you boys for my horrendous record this week because we had the same picks, and I changed them for the sake of excitement. You were saying it last week, KDiggy, and I'm sure you were as well, Jimbo. The thing with Sean Strickland is he's not a slouch. He's only lost to decent quality down at welterweight. You know, short notice, £195, weighed him in his favour greatly. Brendan Allen having a full weight cut to 185 the week before. Schooled him, absolutely schooled him. It was quite embarrassing, to be fair, that knockout for Brendan Allen. He shouldn't take a fight like that against, you know, someone who isn't ranked but is a heavy threat in that division. And where do you see either fighter going from here, KDiggy?
I think they've both got time to progress up the rankings.
Yeah.
I think they both, well, Strickland looked good at 195. You can see that he's a grizzled vet. He had the coolest head. Like when he was in the fight, he was just so relaxed and he was throwing punches like it was nothing. And then when he saw the killer blow, he just took it, and it was a great performance. But we've seen Brendan a lot this year, and he's capable of a lot more. It may have been a difficult one for him. Obviously, he was supposed to be fighting the week before, and then to get yourself pumped up for it again the week after, it can be quite demoralising, as we saw with our boy Tony Ferguson. But yeah, Strickland was fantastic, and we did have him going into the fight with his fantastic record, only losing to Usman and Santiago from what I can remember. And yeah, so it was
He's lost to Dos Santos as well, who did him with a ludicrous spinning kick off the top of my head. But yeah, he's only lost to, you know, good guys, and never lost that middleweight. Who do you think Strickland should be fighting next? Do you think he deserves a top 15 opponent, Jimbo?
I think with two performances like he had in 2 weeks, it was, he needs a top 15 opponent. He's a very good fighter. I actually won a bit of money on him, as well as the verdict picks. I think give him someone both top 15. Give him someone in there.
I've just got the top 15 up now. You know, looking at the 11 through 15, we got Shabazz and Akhmedov, Vettori, Tavares, Heinisch. I don't know who's got fights out of them at the moment, but I think him against Brad Tavares would be a good fight.
Heinisch, I believe, is booked, but personally, the one that's jumped to me was Shabazian. Let's get him.
It's a good fight. You know, it's a good fight to build either one of them up. I think, you know, you get Shabazian losing to Derek Brunson in his last fight, coming up against an up and coming fighter, someone who's always been there or thereabouts, or you get Strickland beating a proven name. I think it's a great fight. The next one, I think it was a last minute ad. I managed to get my pick in. I don't know if you boys did. Ashley Yoder against Miranda Granger. I went with. I just took a punt. Didn't really know. I didn't have time to do the research, so I backed Granger, and Yoder won. Unfortunately, these things happen, don't they? You win some, you lose some, as the old saying goes. But we'll get into the main fights here of the card with, you know, the next one in the co-main event. Chaos Williams absolutely starching Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. My only pick that came to fruition on this card, because I was adamant I wasn't going to change this one because I knew it was going to happen. Although I did say decision as opposed to a knockout. First round knockout, violent, brutal. Shades of Al-Hassan himself back in the day. Where does he go from here, KDiggy?
Al-Hassan.
Yeah.
I don't think this one was do or die for him. I think Chaos Williams is a talent in the UFC, but unfortunately, there's no way he's going any higher than this at the moment. He's gonna have to become someone who's going to be fighting these up and comers quite a lot now, and hopefully can catch another break when it comes around. But it was a horrendous knockout. It was a beautiful punch to knock him out, and but yeah, I know Jimbo said after this one he'll be done with him, but I think there's still time for the world's biggest thighs. Yeah.
And that was going to be my next question, Jimbo. Are you done with Al-Hassan?
Well, actually, I said I'm going to back him one last time, and then I'm done. But actually, no, I was done with him. I actually changed my verdict pick.
Bottled
he
it.
Didn't make weight.
Bottled it. He bottled it.
When he didn't make the weight again. When he didn't make it again, I was like,
so
right, I'm
disappointed.
done. I'm done. I'm not having it. I'm done. I thought, weight cut gate. There's Eric Anders had to go. And now Abdul Razak Al Hassan, I thought, right, I'm having it. I'm not having this. I can't do this. I can't back someone who's missed weight twice in 2 rows. Be professional, turn up, do your job. And I would have probably stuck with him if his performance after missing weight last time was anything to shout home about. But it was horrendous performance in his last fight, and this one was just even worse. Well, I didn't see much from him, but I felt like he probably would have been drained. Chaos Williams hits hard. And I picked Chaos Williams by decision. Should have picked the knockout, but I didn't. But I bottled it.
He bottled it.
Jimbo Slice is done with Abdul Razak Al Hassan, and I think the UFC is going to be done as well. You know, like you said, Jimbo, missing weight on, you know, not once but twice, and on the bounce. They don't like people missing weight, and then giving him an excuse of losing spectacularly like he did. I think he's done. I think he's Bellator bound, if I'm being quite honest with you, or PFL. I don't think the UFC are going to want anything to do with him at the moment, based upon how he's been these last 2 fights, missing weight and losing. So I think he's over. I think he's done. And then the main event, RDA getting a split decision. Should it have been a split decision? Probably not. Against Paul Felder. Pretty commanding performance, quite dominant. Where do you see him go? RDA going from here, KDiggy?
I think he's solidified himself after having a few difficult fights. What he did to Felder was pretty interesting. I feel like he took what Usman and Colby did to him and just put it on Felder. He was pushing him against the fence, and then clinching on the fence, taking him down. And it was a great performance. I don't see how the judge got it 47-48 to Felder, but luckily he got the win in the end. He must have had it was a bit of squeaky bum time when he heard that first one, and he heard that first decision. But he'll be fighting again and hopefully fighting a decent up and comer in the lightweight division. But I think his time at the titles is gone. That lightweight division's just too much. The lightweight division and the welterweight division are just top class, and I don't think Dos Anjos is in that top 5 conversation anymore.
If you're Sean Shelby, Jimbo, who do you have RDA fighting next?
Well, I believe what they might do is they might rebook him against Islam Makhachev if RDA does not want to fight again until like February, when they're saying Islam it will be healthy. I think that's probably one of the better fights to make. I think it's better for him to fight someone ranked below him than ranked above him at the moment. But there is the possibility of throwing him in with Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler then can fight a former world champion.
Yeah. If
he wins, he wins. If RDA doesn't, he gets himself, well, I've beaten a Bellator world champion. He can say something then. But I'm with KDiggy. I just see this going, or he'll win one, he'll lose one, he'll win one, he'll lose one. Might win 2, lose 1. I don't see him making a run for the title. I see him being a staple of the top 15, but I don't see him making a run for the title. It's just too much. It's just too much to that division. Shark Tank is the...
You know, he was champion, was it now, 4 or 5 years ago, back in 2016. The game has changed so much. And, you know, he fought Khabib back in 2014, and he got absolutely ragdolled by him for 15 minutes. And that was, you know, somebody who wasn't even in the top 5 at that point. So I think for me, I agree with you boys. I think RDA, he's going to be there. He's going to be a mainstay of the top 15, where he's going to be in more of a gatekeeper capacity than as a top contender, a top hitter. And I completely agree with you, Jimbo. I think the fight to make Makhachev, if you have RDA winning, it's great. You know, he's beaten a highly touted prospect, up and comer in the rankings. But then if Makhachev wins, it's that next level, and it's even better now that he's ranked and he's ranked above him. He's beating himself against a proven fighter. So that's everything from last week's card of note to discuss. We'll very quickly, well, I'll say quickly, we'll touch upon this week's card that's coming up. The pay-per-view. Just get my verdict picks up because I can't remember what I've picked. UFC 255. Some pretty good fights on this card. We'll start off with Jimbo's, highly touted pound-for-pound prediction in, first fight on the verdict. We've got Brandon Moreno against Roy Val, the battle of the Brandons. Jimbo Slice, talk me through your pick.
Well, I've backed my boy. Of course I have. I've backed Brandon Royval. To be honest, I do think it shouldn't be the battle of the Brandons. I think this should be Brandon versus Perez. I think this should be Royval versus Perez. I think Brandon Moreno should have got the shot at the title. I think Perez got it because he's a Dana White Contender Series man.
Yeah.
But I see this going in the way of round 3 submission for Royval. I think this is going to be a war. I think this is going to even maybe a beatdown on one from Moreno to Royval. But I see the submission coming out there at the end.
But it's your pound for pound pick, Jimbo.
You
How
have to
can you
back
say he's
him
going to
all
get
the
beaten
way.
down if he's a pound for pound pick? He's a pound for pound
Beatdown
pick,
and
mate.
get submission. We've seen this all the time. We see this all the time. Anderson Silva was the greatest at one time. He was beaten down for 4.5 rounds. And then one with
Yeah.
Are you comparing Anderson Silva to Brandon Royval?
He's a pound for pound king. He's a pound for pound king. Well, I don't agree with your pick. For me, Moreno is proven himself at flyweight on 2 separate stints that he deserves to be there. I think it's going to be Moreno's fight. I think it's going to be a decision. Quite a lot of control on the feet. The place for Royval to win this is definitely on the ground. But I think Moreno's got the capability and capacity to keep it standing. And even if it goes down there to even put a cheeky little sub of himself like he did against Luis Smolka back in the day. Where's your head at with this one, KDiggy?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I've gone Moreno decision. In these flyweight fights, they do usually go all the way. They punch really hard, but they don't usually have the power unless you're the man in the main event. So I'm going to back Moreno, and if he does win, we can have a good laugh. We can have a good laugh at Jimbo Slice because I don't.
The baby assassin will be knocked out cold.
We'll see what happens, won't we? We'll see what happens. Yeah, split the boys down the middle as this one. The next fight we've got Caitlin Chukagian against Cynthia Calvillo. That's on the verdict. The next fight is different on the main card, but it's different on the verdict. Me personally, I've gone for Caitlin in this fight. I think she's bigger, she's longer. And yeah, she did lose via TKO to Andrade in her last fight. But Calvillo's not got that striking, pedigree, that Andrade and that power that she has. She's going to be looking to take it to the ground, and I think Chukagian will stop her. I think she'll keep it on the feet and jab her to oblivion for 3 rounds to get that decision pick here, as opposed to a finish. Jimbo Slice, what do you think of this fight?
I genuinely have been going back and forth on this for a week. I even put it in the WhatsApp group. Don't know what I'm doing. Don't need to pick. I'm going back and forth. Caitlin in her last fight looked so disappointing when she fought.
Yeah.
When she fought Jessica Andrade, I expected more from her. I think I actually picked her to win, but I wasn't surprised that Andrade won. But it was how she won. I didn't expect Andrade to destroy her. But was it a previous fight before that when she took revenge against her loss to Valentina Shevchenko by beating Antonina Shevchenko, and she looked quite dominant in that from what I remember. I think it was 30-26, 30-25.
She looked
so
good.
It really can go either way. So, but what I did is I've gone with. I thought I'm not her biggest fan. I think as a personality, she just annoys me. I've gone for Cynthia Calvillo to win. I can see. Yeah, that's exactly what I think of when I think of her. I won. No, you quite clearly didn't. You got absolutely beaten by Carla Esparza. But it's that I can see her taking her down. And once it's on the ground, I can see Cynthia Calvillo getting in that RNC. But I want Chukagian to win. I'd be happy if Chukagian won. So that's actually why I've gone against it. I've gone for Calvillo because if Calvillo wins, I get a bit of excitement that I've got my XP in. But if Caitlin Chukagian wins, I've got the fighter I want to win.
Yeah. KDiggy, where's your head up with this one?
Yeah, I've been back into with it as well. I started off with Chukagian, moved over to Calvillo, and now I'm back with Chukagian again. And I might even switch it before. No, I'm not. I'm gonna have to stick. With my guns. I'm not no Jimbo Slice. I mean what I'm saying. I do it in the video. The podcast means more. So yeah, I'm gonna go Caitlin. I think it's the interesting thing with it is a lot of people aren't backing her because of horrendous performance that against Andrade, which I was upset about as well, and I thought I'd never back her again. But after seeing the how the bookies have put her down and how verdicts have got a lot of recency bias against her, I'm going to go for it for the XP. But I wouldn't be surprised if Calvillo gets the victory.
That's interesting. I could see it go either way, KDiggy. I'm very similar to you. I wouldn't be shocked, but I think that Caitlin's got more to a game than Cynthia does, and I think that's going to be the difference here. The next one we've got, the next fight, is a rematch between Shogun and Paul Craig. Jimbo, last time it was a draw. Who's going to win this time?
Now, I think, and I've gone for backing Paul Craig. I've gone for the sort of countryman Paul Craig. Who was last performance? I don't think he won. I don't. From what I remember, I didn't score it for him winning.
No, neither did I.
And I think that was a very disappointing performance. And if he turns up like that against Paul Craig, who, don't get me wrong, he's not a world changer, he's not a world beater, but he's a solid top 15 just man. And I can see him, in a way, putting a one-sided beating on Hua.
So that's your pick, Paul Craig. Decision or stoppage?
I've gone for decision. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a submission in there. Don't get me wrong. I know he's not as highly touted as people as Hua is with submissions, but Paul Craig, he's a man. He's a finisher.
Shogun Hua, the well-renowned and respected submission expert.
No, he's not an expert. But
you just said that he's highly touted in submissions. 1 minute. No, 1 minute. I'm seeing how many times he's actually had.
No, I didn't say touted in
submission winner.
submissions. I think he's not as touted as Hua.
You said submissions. You said submissions then.
Paul Craig.
Whereas Shogun has had one submission in his career. One submission.
Yeah,
KDiggy.
But what?
So,
is he a black belt?
Get him off the
Is he a black belt? Because I believe Paul Craig is only brown. Well, Paul Craig, I believe, is a brown belt.
All right.
KDiggy,
talk me through it.
Yeah, I remember watching this one, and I picked Paul Craig to win it last time. I was going towards Paul Craig when I was watching it, and I think he's the younger man coming through, and he's a fantastic submission artist. But I'm gonna say history repeats itself, but he'll get his hand raised at the end of the day by decision.
That's interesting. So you're both going with Paul Craig here. I was thinking back on the last fight they had, and I was the same as you, Jimbo. I had it clear cut 29-28 Shogun. I gave that first round to Craig when he was hitting Shogun with that barrage of punches against the cage. And it was like, oh God, he might have him here. I don't see how that could have been scored as a 10-8, as it was about 10 seconds of their fight. And the round wasn't that dominant aside from that bit. But my main taking from that was Shogun took Craig's best shots and didn't go down. Whereas Craig has got a bit of a suspect chin. And, we've got Shogun coming in the last fight in July where he won. I think we've got a Shogun. I'm not saying he's going to be motivated, but, a bit more recency, a bit more experience in them recent fights. Last time they fought, I think he was coming off quite a big layoff. But for me, I think history repeats itself and the right man will win in the form of Shogun. He'll get the win he deserved to get last time by a decision. I don't see him finishing Craig, but he could quite easily knock him out as his chin is a bit suspect. I don't think Craig takes him down. And like you've said, Jimbo, Shogun is a black belt and he knows how to defend himself. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Next fight, first title fight of the card, we've got Valentina Shevchenko against Jennifer Maia. I'll take the lead on this one. So my thinking is...
Have we not missed the...
we've missed Mike Perry, Tim Means, haven't we? Sorry. I'm sorry, all three listeners that are out there that'll be watching this later on. The reason I forgot this fight is because Mike Perry's dead to me for his unprofessionalism in this card. Missing weight, not by a pound, not by half a pound, by 4.5. Missing, the 171 limit by 4.5 pounds. Complete unprofessionalism. Showing himself on the gram and Twitter, eating pizza and donuts earlier on this week. Just absolutely despicable behaviour from Mike Perry. Should be ashamed of himself. And for that reason, Tim Means is going to knock him out in the first round. He's not going to be happy. He's going to come out there and he's going to absolutely starch him. Mike Perry doesn't have a trainer. His pregnant wife or girlfriend, whoever she is, what does she know about fighting these big boys in the division? He hasn't got a corner. He's a woman beater. So as far as I'm concerned, he needs to lose, and he's going to lose spectacularly in the first round by knockout.
I think just because you forgot him on the card doesn't mean you need to be that angry with him. But I've got a Tim Means decision. I think we're all hoping and praying. Maybe not as angry as the big dog is, but
I'll just add alleged woman beater, and it's not confirmed. Alleged before anything. Don't want to get Johnny Depp, do we? By Mike Perry. So alleged.
So I've just got the Tim Means decision, and we'll see. I think Mike will have the gas tank to last the 3 rounds as he's done before, but I think Tim Means will be too technical, from striking all the way down to the ground, and I think he'll school Mr. Perry.
I've got Tim Means winning this mainly because I thought Tim Means was going to win this before there's the Mike Perry missing weight, who probably hasn't put actually that much effort into properly missing the weight because he was eating his pizza. He was 25 pounds overweight 3 weeks ago. Like, come on, what are you doing? Be a professional. And second of all, Tim Means is a southpaw. I can think 2 southpaws off my head that Mike Perry's fought. One was Jeff Neal, sparked him out. And the other one was Hot Chocolate Danny Roberts. And don't get me wrong, it was a fight that we saw live, Big Dog.
We did.
It was a very competitive fight. And Hot Chocolate, from what I remember, was doing well in that fight, giving him some trouble with the lefts.
He was.
So I believe Tim Means, craftier fighter than Hot Chocolate, and he's professional. He doesn't get knocked out. I can think of one knockout he's ever been knocked out with. So I can see Tim Means coming out there to prove a point. I've picked decision. I'm sticking with decision, but I can see him going out, proving the point, and just putting an end to the career of Mike Perry.
I'm happy we're all in agreement on this one. The thing for me, if it's just you've had a really tough weight cut, consider moving up. But the fact that he's had the audacity to, scoff on burgers, pizzas, donuts, and that, I'm just going to get his Twitter feed up now because I'm sure he was live tweeting his cut yesterday.
He was, I believe he was. There's another thing, sorry, I'll just mention that why I picked against Mike Perry is he lost a round to Mickey Gall on the feet in his previous fight. And they're all like, he did really well when he was fighting. He did really well without a camp or a proper trainer. How do you lose a round if you're the striker to Mickey Gall on the feet? Don't get me wrong, Mickey Gall's an excellent person on the ground, but you shouldn't be losing Mike Perry as I've done a professional boxing fight to Mickey Gall on the feet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just having a look now. He was tweeting yesterday at 11:40. So for us, 11:40, that'll be about 20 to 7 in the morning in Vegas. Said that he started his cut around 189 and it was 177. So it's coming, having to cut 19 pounds, and he's got the audacity to eat junk food. He doesn't deserve to win. He doesn't deserve his place on the UFC roster, in my personal opinion. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Next fight on the card, in the right order this time, we've got Valentina Shevchenko defending her title against Jennifer Maia. KDiggy, talk me through your pick on this one.
Yeah, I think unless you're going for the crazy XP here, I think there's only one winner. Valentina is an assassin. She is a killer. She is fantastic from all over the octagon. She should be dominating Jennifer. The only question is, how is she going to do it? Is she going to give her a slow beating for 5 rounds, or is she going to kick her head off, or is she going to rip her arm off? And I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping she rips her arm off, but I believe she'll win first round, a first round submission.
Shevchenko. That's a big pick. Jimbo Slice, what are you saying for this one?
I believe I've gone with Valentina Shevchenko. As I heard it described the other day, women's flyweight is the Valentina Shevchenko vanity division. It's just feed people to her. Valentina Shevchenko, let her win. I've gone with her for a knockout, I think, on the 4th. But don't get me wrong, I actually think
You've gone for the
in
third.
this fight,
You've gone for a third round.
I'm sorry, I've gone for a third. I believe Jennifer Maia is more of a live dog than she's been given credit for. Valentina shows she is excellent on the ground. She is an excellent grappler. But if she ends up underneath Maia, Valentina relies on some very similar techniques to escape from the ground. And if Jennifer knows what to do, which, don't get me wrong, she knows more what to do than I do, she'll be able to take advantage of those and throw in a submission. I don't think that's likely. I think what's going to happen is boxed, clinched, kicked to death. I actually rewatched the Jessica Rai fight recently, which she was fantastic when she keeps kicking her in the body, kicking her in the body, kicking her in the body. Oh, wait, this one's going to your head, knocks her out cold. Thought it's fantastic. But I do think Maia's more of a live dog in this than she's being given credit for. But I've gone for Valentina KO.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jimbo. I think that on the feet, it's not really a competition, this fight. Shevchenko will make mincemeat of Maia. But if Maia is able to get this to the ground, she is more than capable of finishing Shevchenko, as she is, quite a renowned grappler. The thing that I've always thought about Jennifer Maia, if you go on her Wikipedia page, her picture, her head is absolutely massive. I remember thinking the first time I saw it, I thought, she's got a big head. And the thing for me, she's got a big head. It's an easy target for a kick, an easy target for Shevchenko's leg. I've gone by a head kick knockout second round. I think she'll keep it on the feet, and I think she'll knock her out. I think she'll knock her out with a head kick. She's got a big head. It's a big target. It's not going to be hard for her to miss it. And then we're on to the main event, flyweight at men's division now. We got Davison Figueiredo against Alec Perez. As you've mentioned already, Jimbo, Perez, Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. A lot of good up-and-coming talent coming through that, a lot of prospects. KDiggy, are we going to be looking at the first Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series UFC champion?
Looking at my pound-for-pound top 15, there's not a chance, Nate. There's no chance. Davidson is a monster, He's got the power. He's got the power in his hands, and the only time he's going to have a bit of a challenge is when he gets knocked. When he has the fight with Cody Garbrandt. So this is just the journey to get to the perfect top 15. You don't like that one, Jimbo? No.
It's Brandon Royval, is the champion.
Talk us through your pick, Jimbo. How do you see this one playing out?
Now, I've gone for the underdog. I have gone for Alex Perez. Now, don't get me wrong, he got absolutely dominated on the feet by Joseph Benavidez, from what I remember. But
he did.
Davison Figueiredo he's unknown. He's an unknown. He is a man who goes out there and he fights his head off. But this is a 5-round fight. We've not seen him in a 5-round fight. He got slowed down and controlled by Juicio Formiga. And I believe Davison Figueiredo can get if Alex Perez can take those shots in the first round and a half, Davison might start to slow. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Alex could easily try and shoot for a takedown and get caught in a guillotine because Davison is an underrated submission artist. Very good. But I can see Alex whistling him down with some leg kicks, keeping the God of War at bay, keeping him away, throwing some leg kicks, and then finishing him late. I believe I've got him finishing him in the 4th round on my pick.
Yeah, you have.
Knockout. I can see it also because I went for it on verdict because it was miles off. The odds were like the same odds that Maia had with Shevchenko, and that's not the odds by the bookmakers have it. And I just think Davison, he fights wild, and that can be an issue with someone who's a very good fighter who, if they can survive those first few rounds, they can win.
Yeah, that's. I think I agree with you, Jimbo. He's certainly a live dog, definitely more than Maya is and her big head. But for me, I think Figueiredo has just got more paths to victory than Perez has. And like you said, Jimbo, Benavides, yeah, good striker, but this is the Benavides coming back after, quite a long-term injury. Starched him on the feet, first round knockout. Figueiredo hits hard. I know MMA math doesn't exist and it's not a thing, but I think we're going to have a good first round, a good bit of back and forth. Second round, Figueiredo's going to crack Perez. He's going to shoot for a takedown, get caught in a guillotine. Submission second round is my pick for this card. I think it's a great card. On paper, looking at it, you think, God, there's some good fights on there. But is it pay-per-view worthy? That's the only real question, And my leaving question before we move into another topic is going to be: does this card crack 100,000 pay-per-view buys? I don't think it does.
Now,
I don't believe so.
I don't think it does. I think it's for people like us. It's a fantastic card. You look at Nicholas Dalby's on this card. It's a great card, but I don't think it does. You never know. You never know. It might. But I highly doubt it. No, I don't think it does.
No.
Yeah, I can't see it doing. There isn't that. There are stars on this card, but there aren't the stars which are going to propel you above the expectations of a numbered card should be. So I do think it'll be a low key. It's sort of similar to the Nunes, the last Nunes fight.
That's harsh. That's a harsh card. That's a harsh comparison. This is a much better card than that.
But that one had the superstar, but that'll probably get more pay per view than this one because of having Nunes on it.
Yeah. Right then.
Nunes.
I don't think
have Aljamain Sterling on.
Have what? I'm sorry.
Didn't Nunes Spencer have Sterling versus Sandhagen on? From what I remember, it wasn't as bad as a card as I remember. Garbrandt versus Sunself, Sterling versus Sandhagen.
No, I was thinking
Sean O'Malley, Wineland.
Oh,
let's have a look. Let's get it up.
Magny, Anthony Rocco.
I was thinking
it's a pretty good card, actually. Actually, do you know what? That's a
Random fight, the UFC 245 one as well. Which one? Who was on?
Oh,
no,
that had Holloway, Volk, and Usman Colby on. That was a great card.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it mixed up. Yeah, 250 because 249 was incredible, weren't it? And then 250 just wasn't as crazy, but it had the Cody knockout and the Sean O'Malley one, so it came to fruition. Most definitely. Actually, that was a good card. That I was completely wrong.
So, sorry, KDiggy, you were, before we started this, you said you had a question for me and Jimbo, a bit of a debate to discuss. What is the question?
Well, no, I'm just going to have to freestyle something because I wasn't ready to go. So let me have a quick look here then. So let me get something up. So let me just quickly.
We'll keep it short because I know the reason we're doing this so early is that we've all got commitments today. So we'll just quick fire debate and then we'll call it a day.
There we go. So let's go for. Who can tell me? We can do the light heavyweight champions. And I want to see.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I want to see who can get them all. So let me go and spawn and get them.
No chance here.
Yeah.
Right. How far are we going back? Are we going back to pre-Zuffa?
This one goes back to 1997.
Right. We've got Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell.
Easy, Tiger.
Oh, right. Oh, we're going against it. I thought it was who can name the most.
Okay, so we've got Shamrock. That's what I typed in. No Google.
Are we going in order?
Yeah, so you can go. No, so let's just go random. So Kieran says one, you say one, and see who gets stuck first. If we get stuck.
Okay. Daniel Cormier.
Okay. Big Dog.
If we're not doing any order, John Jones.
Yep.
Mauricio Hua.
Next.
Jan Blachowicz.
Oh, crap. How did I forget? Lyoto Machida.
Yep.
Rashad Evans.
Oh, no. I was going backwards in my head. Is it Forrest Griffin?
It is.
Rampage Jackson.
Yep.
Oh, we haven't said the king. Chuck Liddell.
Yep.
Randy Couture.
Yep.
Vitor?
Yep.
Yeah, Vitor.
Yeah, one via very controversial manner did.
Yeah,
Vitor.
the eye.
Grazed his eye with the glove, Randy's, and won I think like 36 seconds. And Tito Ortiz, I think we've done them all now, haven't we?
We have completed.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
That's what I hate a lot. Really hard.
Before we go, should we do the heavyweights? Get the heavyweights in.
Why would you do lightweight? That'll be harder.
No, it's not. Lightweight's really easy.
Oh yeah, because you'll have
There's only
Jens
like
Pulver,
five.
BJ.
Jens Pulver, BJ Penn, Frankie Edgar,
Benson
Henderson, Anthony Pettis, RDA, Alvarez, McGregor, Khabib, Gaethje, and Poirier.
We've got
If you're
heavyweights.
including it.
Oh no, I'm gonna be stuck here. This is where I'm gonna be. This is I was trying to avoid it.
1997 until 2019. Let's go.
Does that not include then? So I'm just checking. 97. That won't include the Super Fight Championship, right? Okay.
You go first, Jimbo. You go first.
Sorry?
Kane. He said Brock.
Okay. Yep.
Kane, Velasquez.
Yep.
Frank Mir.
Are we including interim champions?
We are.
I'm thinking that.
Shane Carwin.
Yep.
JDS.
Yep.
Stipe.
Yep.
Daniel Cormier.
Yep.
Antonio Nogueira was interim champion.
Yeah.
Fabricio Verdum.
Yep.
Randy Couture.
That's all right.
Andrei Arlovski.
Oh yes.
Tim Sylvia.
Oh, I went to my head. Who else? Barnett. Josh Barnett.
Yep. Josh Barnett.
Mark Coleman.
First one.
I've got two more, and I can only remember two, so I really hope you don't take them. Bass Rutten.
Yep.
Well, if you're saying Bass Rutten, surely your next pick will be Randleman.
It is.
Okay.
It's my other pick. Have we said Mark Coleman?
Yeah, I've said Mark Coleman.
Yep. And we said
we said Randy.
So there's two more.
Have we said Mark Coleman?
Yes, Mark Coleman's been.
These two are difficult.
Mark Coleman.
Ones, to be fair.
Who beat Mark Coleman? Who beat Mark Coleman? Was it Marie Smith?
It was Marie Smith. And there's one Can the big dog get the final one without Googling it?
I can't do it. If he gets it, he wins, because I can't get it. If he gets it, he wins.
It's one of two. It's either Pedro Hiza or Rico Rodriguez, and I'm going to go for Rodriguez.
It was Rodriguez.
Yeah, I thought
I
it
never
was.
would have got that. Never would have got that in a million years.
Very good, very good. Yes.
You were quite helpful there. You got the ones that I couldn't remember.
And I remember, I know it from watching the docs and stuff like that. I'm watching some of the old fights, but it was a category on pointless ones.
On
And
Pointless?
I made on pointless. Yeah, it was like heavyweights, and it was like boxing champions, WWE champions, and UFC. And I back in these days in our house when I was a bit younger, we used to when
Put the pound in.
you'd put a pound in the tin every time you got a pointless answer, and it was an expensive round. Very expensive.
Do you know the WWE ones as well, Kieran?
Probably, but I was more concentrating on the UFC ones. Anyway, we've all got shit to do today. I'm going to call it there. Anything to add before we finish?
Nothing at all. Good podcast. Enjoyed it very much.
Make sure you check out the new music video by Kanye West, which was inspired by Buckley's knockout a couple of weeks ago, and it's actually got
fighting tonight. Might I add? He's fighting tonight on the prelims.
He is a very exciting fight, which I debatably have him losing, but we'll see.
I do too.
Well,
James Krause coming out smack talking, and now should Buckley win, I think we're going to get Krause Buckley. Believe it or not.
James Krause and Roy Buckley.
Bring it on.
Yeah, great fight. But if that's it, then keep it easy, gents, and we'll see you next week.
See you later, 9 viewers.